I know so little about Garfield.
Did we see the trailer?
Everybody? Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to talk about
That's at least the opening of this.
No,
I think that it's people want to hear the PuzzyBoyz take. They don't. It's not really about like how let's learn about Garfield. Like it's more like, oh shit, these guys are gonna try and talk about Garfield for over an hour. Like let's see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean,
in my opinion too,
it ain't no water, but
I think this is part 1 of like 12 Garfield episodes. I think
back.
we just have to accept that as a fact.
Never.
You don't think so?
I had trouble just filling this.
You just copied and pasted the wiki article.
I selectively picked the facts that I wanted to present to you guys.
Okay, we'll see if it's good enough. All right, we're recording.
Welcome to PuzzyBoyz, the only and therefore number 1 podcast for real men who love their kitty cats. I am your host, one of them, Danny Solomon, and my little pussy is named Marv.
God, that was plotting. Dramatic.
You got me to snort, though. Those made me laugh a lot. My name is Zach Broussard, and my lasagna-loving little freak is Moji.
My name is Nick Maritato. My cat's name is Lily.
I'm
tired.
Yeah. My name's Adam Newman. I got a cat named Greg and a cat named Holiday.
And a dog we do not talk about.
No.
And when our powers combine, also with a bunch of Z's involved.
And that is the big disclaimer for this episode, is that we do not want you to look up this podcast and think that it's with S's, as you might imagine. It is actually all Z's.
Oh, you think it's all S's? Fuck you. That's what I
fuck you.
say.
Honestly, fuck you. And
Not all. There's a P and a U and a Y.
Right. Well, there's other letters.
There's other letters.
look, fuck you. And if the people out there decide to type in all S's, they're going to see a lot of other people getting fucked too.
Yeah.
To me, a form of success, and I'll do the voice still. To me, a form of success is if we become so successful as a podcast that pornographers start using PuzzyBoyz with Z's.
Yeah.
They're
Just to try to get some of our traction.
They want some of our runoff.
They want some
I got an
They want
email-
some of our sloppy seconds.
I got an email the other day. They wanted to buy PuzzyBoyz from us for $8,000, but I was like, no, I can't fucking do that. This podcast is
You sell it.
I should have.
$8,000?
Yeah.
I think that's more than we'll ever see.
It would have been
but-
split up between
60-40.
yeah.
Of course.
I would have got 60 and you guys would have split 40.
I do think that's a terrible idea. I also have to say
We
have
each get
changed
40
the
though.
name of the podcast. Unfortunately, I got something in the mail that says we can't use this podcast anymore.
What?
Who sent it to you?
Some guy who's offering $8,000, and I was like, you know what? Fine.
That's so funny because I basically been trying to buy the website for us. And I found the guy who owns the website for PuzzyBoyz. I've been offering him $8,000 for the website.
It's all $8,000 here when we're talking about the PuzzyBoyz.
Well,
And
it's all of us.
his name is spelled just like yours, but it's
Really?
called Adam.
Yeah.
And he's not biting yet. I'd love to sell this.
I can't blame him.
Well, guys, here's the real $8,000 question. Who's got a This Week in Cat?
Me!
Oh,
That's a great question.
I thought you
y'all.
had one, but you were just saying
No,
meow.
I'm just kind of excited to be here.
I don't have it this week in Kappa. Can I just
I have
say on? Oh, okay, then never mind.
Then don't say it, Adam.
Well, I had another thing to say that was cat related
Nope.
that I thought was it was this week in Kappa. But it wasn't about my specific cats.
I watched my wife take a wet nap and get a piece of shit off my cat's asshole.
oh.
Who else thought wet nap was like wet
thought it
dream
was
for a
like a
second?
wet burrito. Like I thought there was like a type of nap where you're soaking wet.
I like Adam's idea that a wet nap is like a very short wet dream.
I dozed off and I woke up with cream in my pants.
Oh, sorry, did it again. I just keep
There's
dozing
gotta be.
off.
I don't want to make fun of any, but there's got to be some sort of narcolepsy that's combined with jizzing in your pants.
Yeah, or like premature ejaculation. There's got to be some sort of.
I mean, that does seem like what Vanilla Sky should have been about, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't it just a 2-hour-long fucking jerk-off session?
Oh,
come on.
I think they should have called it Vanilla Pants.
Ooh. Sorry, I hit the wrong one. I promise that didn't mean anything. Anyway, that is something I witnessed actually today. Is Ashley took a wet napkin, it came pre-wet, and lifted my cat's tail up and just gave it a little dab and a little rub because she picked up Lily and felt a crust on her butthole.
Yeah.
Now, our cat is not cleaning her butthole as well as she should be cleaning her butthole. Every once in a while, we get a crust butt.
Yeah.
And this was the first time that I saw somebody actually take real action against it.
Does Lily mind that she's doing it?
She fucking made a noise I had not heard before.
Oh, can you do it?
Yeah, you gotta do it.
Okay, so like mostly her meows are very like normal, just meow, meow. This one was like, it was like a, but in like a cat.
The
sort
way
of
like
you'd
a
wake
Jerry
up from a
Lewis.
wet nap.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, funny lady.
Yeah. Anytime I close my eyes, I'm always thinking of Pam Anderson. So if I fall asleep, it's all over.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Now,
Sounds
so
like
many
she liked
posters.
it.
Thankfully, I actually let you put all the posters
Yeah.
in your room.
Well, I punched all those holes in the wall.
I do like that as Pussy Boys, we are the alphas in our household to where our wives are the ones who have to take care of those kinds of dirty jobs.
Have to hold the damn phone.
Are privileged to get to. I mean, Natalie is always checking Marv's ears and cleaning the ears when he'll let her, because I don't want to do it. I feel like that's too invasive. But the women, they're good enough as pet parents to take over and say, no, that butthole's got to get clean. That ear's got to get clean. I don't care if I get swatted. I don't care if I get slashed. I'm going to get into those orifices.
Wow. What's going
Women
on?
are amazing.
They
They
are.
are. Let's just
We love
guys.
them.
We love
love
women on the Pussy
women.
Podcast.
Let's just make sure everybody knows how we feel. But Dan, what's up? What is up with Marv's ears? I've heard a lot of sort of this. Does Marv have a waxy buildup?
I mean, don't we all? He definitely has a lot of ear stuff, maybe more than your average cat. He scratches there a lot, and I feel like he's stomping around. He goes outside, so there's a little bit of bullshit on his feet, and then also he steps around in his litter box.
He's
and
always
then he goes
wearing
to his
AirPods.
ear. He's got
true.
his
My
AirPods
pet-
are disgusting.
So you were saying, I know you weren't totally being serious when you said women have to take care of our cats and men shouldn't. That's not men's job.
I'm just saying the delicate job of earning the trust of getting into the sensitive places.
So see, now we're framing it the way it should. It's really like, do our women really want us back there in those buttholes? You know what I mean? Wiping them out. They kind of think we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Or
is
they
what I
think
say.
we'll like it too much and we'll stay back there
I will
forever.
say the big danger of this podcast is they were like, "Oh, you clearly know what you're doing. You should be doing the butt stuff."
Yeah, no,
We
not
don't.
me.
I
I don't. I've never wanted to ever clean my cat in any real way. Now my wife, I've seen multiple occasions notice that Lily has like a little eye booger or something, and she'll fucking get right in there with
right.
like a napkin
Okay.
and
Yes.
de-eye booger things. When I'm like, if I go anywhere near her eyes, they'll pop out of her head, and then I'll go to jail.
I do this every single day, multiple. I love getting eye boogers out of the two cats and the dog.
and you eat them?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I
you
keep
know,
them
it's a
in a
booger.
jar, you crazy piece of shit. I love going in there with a little fingernail, and the cats all let me do it. Holiday hates it the most, but whatever. They all let me do it, and I never really get scratched. Greg, they just let me do it. It's fun.
De-booger. Yeah, I think
see a
Lily
little
would let
black
me do it
crust
too.
in the corner.
What a terrible Access Hollywood tape that would have been if Donald Trump was like, and they let you do it.
Yeah, you just grab the pussy and
you grab the butthole.
and you just wipe it.
Yeah, I mean, cats are covered in all types of schmutz. And
It's schmutz. I think that's my Jewish instinct is to
Hold
get the
the
schmutz out of their
phone.
face.
I'm sorry, I had to go back. What if Trump what if it was all Z's? When he grabbed them by the pussy.
Oh my
We gotta get back there.
Oh, is he a good guy? The whole time?
Hey, any Trump supporters out there, if you're listening to this podcast,
We're sorry. From the bottom of our heart.
you guys are all right.
Anyway, does anybody else have anything they want to talk about as far as this week?
Mostly just about Trump.
Yeah.
Well, then we should.
I
move
don't think
on.
Trump supporters know how to spell pussy
There
anyway.
you go. Fuck you.
Marv is an RFK Jr. cat.
Easy. This podcast hasn't come out yet. That guy might be the president of the United States. You better watch what
That's true.
Well, that was it's always fun catching up with what's going on with our cats, but we have some business to take care of today.
This
And,
might be one of our most important episodes.
I mean, it's one of the most clamored for, except for water. People want us to talk water
Again,
eventually.
people want the wet app. People want the wet
Stop
app.
Should've
emailing
saved
us,
the wet nap, yeah.
requesting the water app. Stop calling our personal cell phones.
We don't know about the water app yet. We're still talking. We're debating it behind the scenes.
I
But
got an
Pussy
email.
boys will get wet, but when we don't.
We don't.
I got an email offering $8,000 for the wet app.
And I've been offering $8,000. Very similar situation.
Yes.
Yeah. See,
But we haven't figured that one out yet. But we have to talk about our topic today because when we're recording this podcast, some breaking news. Zach Broussard sent some breaking news to the Pussy Boys text thread, and that was that the brand new spanking Garfield trailer has dropped. Wow, this is big noise and big news.
Big noise. Meow.
Meow.
And for those of you who, I don't know, just got out from underneath a rock, Garfield is being voiced by none other than Chris Pratt.
How do we feel?
Chris Pratt.
oh, yeah.
And I got to tell you, I'm going to just come out hot right now. I do not like it.
People don't like this
No.
Chris Pratt
Good.
voice.
Good. He can't take over all of the classic properties. He botched Mario, and now we got to deal with him as Garfield when we've had two titans of the industry as our previous Garfields, Bill Murray, Lorenzo Music.
Lorenzo Music. And we'll get into Lorenzo because that's maybe the best name that I've ever heard in my entire life. Lorenzo Music.
That's
Chris
a good
Pratt,
name, yeah.
he's just doing Chris Pratt.
His that's a stage name. His real name is Funky Music.
I don't
and
know
love that.
Lorenzo Music.
We'll talk all about it.
Yeah, great. I can't wait.
Because I think there's a through line of like history of who got to voice Garfield, and I think it's insane that he put no sauce on it, where like Garfield has a distinctive vibe, and this guy just thought he could just do his regular old stupid voice.
I apologize in advance. The eating you're about to see will not be pretty. And if you have young children, this would be a good time for them to leave the room.
Now, I do think after Mario, it would have been very funny if he made Garfield really Italian.
Get
Now-
a spin.
Okay, I didn't know we were going to jump so hard
We
into
have
the
to
voice,
jump
the
in.
Pratt voice right now, but I think we should talk about it now. I don't love it either. It's not a striking voice for the Garfield character. We hear Garfield. We kind of want Garfield to have that sort of timbre, that sort of over it sort of attitude. I think it was really attitudal, basically, what I was picking up on. Because all the other, I mean, the previous Garfield to this, is that Bill Murray? Was he the last voice
the
of
last
Garfield?
Last movie.
Yeah,
In the
'cause-
movie. We'll talk movies right now. That was just basically Bill Murray's voice. Was he doing anything?
No.
Now, what I will say
particular-
that Bill Murray was like distinctly chosen because he's got that lazy vibe.
Well,
You know what I
and-
mean? Bill
and-
Murray seems like a guy who's eating as much lasagna and he's napping as much as Garfield.
Well, we
There's attitude.
We all know the story, the Bill Murray story, right? I mean, I think I told this maybe on our very first podcast. Why not again? But I'm pretty sure that a man named Joel Cohen directed the Garfield movie. Not one of the Coen brothers sent a script to Bill Murray. Bill Murray saw Joel Cohen,
And agreed to
Garfield,
do it.
and just was like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Is the story true about you signing up for that movie thinking it was a different
Yeah,
director?
I
That's
thought
true?
it was. Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. And I didn't really read the script. And I was like, you know, I kind of want. I'd love to try one of these animated movies. It'd be kind of fun, you know. And I'm looking at Joel Cohen, one of my favorites. I mean, the Coen brothers. These guys make great movies. Well, you know, it was kind of blurry, and it was one of those times when it wasn't that Joel Cohen. It was a different Joel Cohen.
There's an H in the one you signed
Yeah,
up for.
yeah. I signed up with the guy with the Ellis Island spelling or something. I don't know what, but I got that Cohen, and it was a really troubled kind of a production.
And apparently it went on for a long time where like he was doing because apparently he was doing his lines for Garfield while filming Life Aquatic. They were doing it like mostly remotely, and apparently he had a lot of notes on like the script. He was like, "This doesn't really make any sense," and I just think that's incredible.
It is, but I mean, was he chosen for his laissez-faire voice, or was it just like Joel Cohen trying to pull a fast one on an old crazy man?
Well, everybody knows about the fact. I mean, all of us who are Garfield heads of our generation know the TV series. That was Lorenzo music. At the same time, Bill Murray had done Ghostbusters. They make the Ghostbusters cartoon series. Lorenzo music voices
right.
Bill Murray's character.
No!
Therefore,
Right, yes.
Bill Murray had to come back on him.
That makes sense.
To his character.
I didn't know this.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That actually feels so simpatico. I don't know if I've ever said that out loud.
But at
I
least
think it works.
there's some full circle there.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt, total outlier, doesn't belong in this whole canon whatsoever.
I think it's emblematic of everything that's wrong with Hollywood, where I think to the dumbest Hollywood producers, Chris Pratt is as ugly and lazy of a guy as they're willing to cast, even in a voice role.
that animated thing.
And it's like, I could think of probably 12 different
If you
comedians.
want a
We should get to
lazy-
that later.
And we will.
We should.
Okay.
I do think that we're going to do our dream casting
Okay.
at some point.
Cool.
But I do think that there is like, there's something going on with voiceover stuff in general where it's like celebrities, I'm fine with them voicing one of the trolls. Like, I don't really care. There's a lot of like cartoon characters that there's nothing associated with it. You also like, who cares? It's just a person. And if you want to have a celebrity do it, but when it's like a character, to think that voice acting is any different than regular acting, like it should be thought of as like, I don't know,
A specialty.
a specialty of like,
Yeah.
can they do a voice that is like his unwillingness to do anything for Mario, and then really just fumble in the bag of Garfield.
So do people like his voice?
I never think
Chris
of him
Pratt's voice?
as like.
Yes.
I don't hate Chris Pratt. I don't think as much as.
No,
you-
I like Chris Pratt.
But it is a strange casting because there's nothing. I don't find his voice to be anything special, and like you said, he's not doing any
He's just
twist on
the
it.
biggest star that is gettable in a situation.
I
like
think
this,
he
right?
is like-
he wants that money.
Right.
I think he clearly wants it.
I think
whoever
they
his
cast
agent
this in like
is-
2016 though. This movie's been in production in
Yeah.
talks at least.
That was
forever.
probably the height of the Chris Pratt, the era of Chris Pratt. But also, let's just face facts, and I'm glad I have this forum to say this. Movie executives are dumber than ever.
They are dumber than ever. I think that they, if any role
Unless
in Hollywood
they're
will be
interested
replaced by AI.
in ours.
Yeah, except for the few that are listening to PuzzyBoyz and are kind of into
You're
turning this into a
yeah.
MCU level universe.
You guys are going to run the industry one day if you have the foresight and the vision to elevate the Pussy Boys.
But some of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen in my life. And I think let's maybe put a pin in how terrible the voice was, and let's talk about the trailer as a whole.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that kind of struck you storyline wise? Garfield's dad?
That's
What's
just-
going on with Garfield's dad?
That to me is a classic. We're gonna make a movie out of a property that we've had for a long time, and like, what can we do in this world that we haven't explored yet? And it's like, well, he's got to have parents. Like, why not? It'll be a classic. Like, Garfield has to see his old dad again, and like,
It's maybe the funniest thing about Garfield is that what makes him so interesting in like the comics is that he does almost nothing at all.
Right.
And I think that part of the challenges of doing TV specials is like he goes to tropical islands and has adventures, and that
for being
is
known as the laziest cat ever.
It goes fully against his
Yeah.
entire vibe.
He's done more than any of us.
But it's
could
like kind of
imagine.
funny in a TV special where he does this and you can kind of be a curmudgeon about it. But like sending Garfield on an adventure with like his father, like a straight up like bonding experience with Samuel L. Jackson, who again, I don't care who's voicing Garfield's dad.
right.
A little odd for being Chris Pratt's father, if you think about just the voice.
Yeah, there might be
matching
a little
there.
something with the voices. We don't need to go into details about.
I say the biggest thing that I was like, what the fuck is this shit? How'd they let that cat into that restaurant to eat the food?
Kept letting him eat.
He opened the window. He opened the window for him.
You can't just let a cat into a restaurant to eat the food that you're eating.
So I thought the same thing. I was like, this is like what fucking script writing idiot thought about this. Turns out this is actually part of the Garfield lore. Garfield was born in the kitchen of Mama Leone's Italian restaurant.
And I know what's coming. I know what else you researched for this particular thing. It says his weight,
has your search
right?
history.
Do you have
It does have his exact birth weight.
What was his weight?
5 pounds 6 ounces at birth.
Okay, so 5 pounds 6 ounces. We've seen the trailer. That cat doesn't weigh more than a fucking half a pound.
The fact that they tried to make little Garfield cute, Garfield should never be cute. He's
I
a
know.
fat fucking
He was,
asshole.
though.
I actually
Hey.
think that is a big part of Jim Davis, the creator's story, is that he was interviewed, like it was like some like MTV interview or something where like some journalist was talking shit about like, you're selling all these books with this like cute cat, blah 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 blah, and he went, wait, this cat is not cute.
Yeah.
And it's like it never intended to be a cute cat,
He
and that's
hates
what
cute
Nermal's
cats.
all about.
Exactly.
Nermal is like a classic holiday, who's like waltzing in like a babe.
In case you are just tuning in for the first time, Holiday is my cat who Zach has decided is hot.
Just the sexiest cat I've ever seen in my life.
Every time she walks, you can hear that saxophone music like Silk Stockings.
There's like Baker Street playing in the background. If I'm quiet for a few minutes in an episode, just know that I'm just mugging Holiday down. And I'm not trying to think about what I would do, but I am thinking about if I was a cat, what would I do?
So I do feel like sorry, I have to go somewhere.
Or she could turn into a human. That's also
That's an actual option that I prefer.
Do you guys recall the old Garfield comic strips?
Yes.
Can you think of them? Now there is the one. It might be the first comic strip ever. Is that the Pipe? Is the Pipe the first comic strip? Garfield comic strip? Dan, did
That's
you do
where he
research?
lays pipe on the other.
Normal. On normal, yeah. No, it's literally like a 3-panel comic strip, and it's just John going, "Where's my pipe?" And then all of a sudden, like he's like, "I smell smoke," and then he cuts to him, and he's like, "Garfield," and Garfield's just smoking his pipe, and
I mean, there's the whole story in 3
Now-
panels. Comes full circle.
that Garfield, which is a very early version of Garfield, maybe the earliest that we know, is a fat, ugly fucking cat.
Yeah.
It is like you would look at this Garfield now and you'd go, man, why'd they make Garfield like so kind of crazily, almost just ugly? And then you start to see those old strips and you realize like, he was written like a fat, ugly cat. Like
Yeah.
if this was like a real cat, you'd walk in and be like, holy shit, who the fuck is that?
And that's
over
what I
there?
was thinking in the trailer too. When he comes in and he just starts eating all the food in the restaurant, like immediately you'd be like, oh, even if it was a cute cat, you'd be like, I'm not taking this cat
Yeah,
home.
this cat's
like, why
a
would
nightmare.
The first 8 seconds of knowing this cat have proven that it is a bad pet.
Now, Zach has just pulled up one of these old comic strips, and another thing that's incredibly striking about this is John Arbuckle's weird face.
Got a really weird face.
His eyeballs are very close together, unsettlingly close.
There's a character in the comic book Preacher who the teen boy shoots himself in the
Yes.
face with a gun, and John Arbuckle looks very similar to that. His face is fully caved in on itself. It's terrible. And I honestly, one of the through lines I saw reading about Jim Davis is that he's kind of not the best cartoonist.
No.
But he's like very good at business, so like he has guys who do most of the artwork.
Can
now.
I give you a quick Jim Davis fact?
Yeah.
Celebrity net worth, what do you think he's at?
Oh, 500 mil.
What do you guys think? Lower or higher?
I know it's going to be absurd. I mean, I looked at the sheet, so I know it's higher.
$800 million attributed to the account of Jim Davis.
Makes sense to me. Danny,
an
you did
iconic-
tell me this on the ride over here, and I immediately said, "Stop talking Garfield, man." And then I was like,
You got really upset.
I was like, "Why is this fucker always talking Garfield?" But then I was like, "Well, that makes sense because like there always has been Garfield. Like since I could remember, Garfield's one of like the first sort of cartoony things I can remember."
1978.
And now
the premiere of
I'm
Garfield.
5,000 years old, and I just saw the new Garfield trailer, and
Well,
it's never ended.
I was thinking about just like iconic Garfield like stuff, and I two things came to mind. It was which is our buddy Jim at his bar had the Garfield phone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the sticky windshield mirror?
Yeah.
Like
That
Garfield?
was everywhere. All
Everywhere.
over the Midwest, probably the South too.
Incredible.
Wherever people who are just kind of sad losers live.
I just think it's incredible. I think, supposedly, according to GoComics.com, this is the first Garfield comic from June 19th, 1978. And it's a little meta.
Yeah, they weren't like it wasn't going balls to
Took
the
a bit
wall
to hit.
here. It was like
Garfield's ugly as hell.
Yeah.
Arbuckle's freaky looking. So for panel 1, you got John saying, "Hi there, I'm John Arbuckle. I'm a cartoonist, and this is my cat Garfield." Panel 2, "Hi there, I'm Garfield. I'm a cat, and this is my cartoonist John." Kind of one. Panel 3, John, our only thought is to entertain you, and then goes to Garfield, "Feed me."
boom. And it begins.
And so it begins.
And an $800 million empire is born.
It's interesting because if you fed any of the food that Garfield eats all day long to your real cat, dead in a second. Right?
Yeah, because cats can't have garlic.
Oh.
Well, right there.
So we found out the hard way.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Sort of like you start to see, because remember we were talking about this because we have just watched the new trailer and they made Garfield cute as a little kitten. And it seems like as the years have gone on, Garfield slimmed up a little bit,
Sexualized.
His head's a little more circular. Like in that strip you just showed up, he has like a
ugliest
flat,
cat.
long football head.
Yeah, he
Well,
looks
this
like
also-
William Howard Taft, honestly.
There's an argument that this is the same thing is happening to Garfield's voice. Like it's just slowly becoming like yassified to where it's just fully unrecognizable for what it was, which is just supposed to be like the everyman of cats.
I mean, we can call it what it is, wokeness.
We got to get woke out of Garfield.
That being said, I do believe at the end of the trailer it says the wait is over and it spells it
He ain't even fat.
WEIGHT. I'm like, they're still making however
classic
much
joke.
they are, yeah, but whatever they're trying to do to
What I hated about
woke.
that, I'm so excited you brought this up because
There's-
was at that trailer. I don't know if it was on the version you saw. There's a
I saw the official one.
There's a call to action
Red
where
band?
they're trying to get people to submit their cat videos to be featured in future promotions. And then it
refuse.
says, and then
Yeah.
it says, and dogs are welcome too. And I was like,
Fuck.
it's
What a
classic
fail.
Hollywood shit where it's like just appeal to cat people.
Well, Odie is a character.
But
Odie's,
Odie is not the star.
No. Odie is a side character. Some might say a foil,
He's
or
a
maybe
foil.
an antagonist.
He's a comic foil.
but so is Nermal. I don't know, like, I haven't looked up the story circle on this, but how it works. But Odie is definitely, like, not the issue in the house. Garfield is always trying to kill Odie. He's always trying to send Odie to Abu Dhabi.
Does he? Is there a?
I think Garfield's
He
actually
kicks him off the
mostly
table.
Garfield is the elf.
He's trying to send Nermal to Abu Dhabi.
Okay,
mostly,
but
'cause
he has
Nermal's
these
too attractive.
You're saying that he's never tried to send
No,
Odie
he definitely
to
has
Abu
said
Dhabi?
that.
All right.
I've seen Odie get put in a box and shipped to Abu Dhabi,
Here's-
but I think they messed with their own story. A bit.
Here's a question, and this I've not researched, so we might not be able to get the answer. But did that Abu Dhabi bit start on the cartoon show or in the comic strip?
I'm about to do my famous kitten mailing routine.
No, Garfield. Where do you want to mail me?
Where? Where else? Maestro?
Abu Dhabi, it's far away. Abu Dhabi, that's where you'll stay. Abu Dhabi, the place to be for any kitten who's annoying me. Yeah.
The basis of the Abu Dhabi joke is that there are a lot of stray cats in Abu Dhabi, and so
I'm
that
glad
is
to know
like
there's a
that
reason.
is like the factual bit as to why he wants to send Nermal to Abu Dhabi because it is just where like extra cats go.
Can we back up a little bit? What is the Abu Dhabi thing?
You never saw this?
So basically, there's a running gag, and I know mostly Odie. Also, I think in the cartoon, it's mostly an Odie.
That's
joke.
where we remember
But
it.
the OG joke, I think, is that you basically have Nermal showing up, who's like the pretty. Basically, it's the running gag is that Nermal's the prettiest cat in the world.
She's got the eyelashes.
A
That's
he.
how you-
By the
What?
way, and that's a second
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
conversation.
whoa, what?
Wait a
Nermal
minute
is a
now.
boy.
You gotta
And
realize,
Nermal.
telling Danny this, who already thought his cat was a girl for the first year of having it, like this is a whole.
I
life
will
These
thing for
cats
Danny.
need to get it together.
It is confusing because Nermal has eyelashes that are very long and beautiful, and is voiced by a lady. Like this is a great example of like a gag is that Garfield's having a birthday party. It's his big day, but then Nermal shows up, and she's the prettiest cat in the world. He's the prettiest cat in the world.
See,
I
anybody
apologize.
can fall for this trap.
So then, basically, Garfield would make a joke or attempt to mail Nermal to Abu Dhabi.
He loved to throw Nermal or Odie, whatever, what have you, into a cardboard box. Usually trick them with some kind of cake or what have you, and then wrap the box up with a little hole where the eyeball goes in, and then you see that it's addressed to Abu Dhabi.
And usually it would not make it there because there was not enough postage, which is a classic joke.
Right.
And but the Garfield would say that's where all the cute cats go,
Wow.
and all the cute cats go to Abu Dhabi.
Sounds like a lyric in a song.
Yeah, it's something nice.
Yeah, Nermal
What do you
being a
guys-
boy is
what-
insane. to
Nermal
me.
was a boy.
This is. I wish we had a fucking breaking news sort of thing.
Now,
Just give us your best shot.
now, I will say in today's day and age, I think we could probably just say that Nermal's a Nermal. Doesn't matter what Nermal was, but we were presented with limited information of a female voiceover artist.
Those damn
Beautiful
sexy
lashes.
eyelashes.
Well, there's cues. We're all just reading cues, and but Nermal's a boy, and whatever you did to yourself while you looked at Nermal, that's
Exactly.
something you have to
Yeah,
deal with.
Wow, I didn't even think about
That's
that.
fine.
What version of Garfield did you guys grow up on mostly?
I had I remember in first grade, I sat next to this tall kid, Joe, and Joe was mostly known for having like a couple of the Garfield books like in his desk,
Yeah.
and like me being like coveting those books. Like when he fucking goes to the bathroom, I'm gonna open that book up and look at Nermal.
I remember the books too. It was like those comic books, the full series books or whatever.
Yeah,
It
they're
was
like
those,
squat,
yes,
long
they're
books.
small, yeah.
Well, I think Jim Davis invented that, which is basically
Oh.
they were doing comics in more like regular book format, but because it's like he
Oh,
wanted
but like a
horizontal
strip.
panels,
That makes sense.
and so they kind of call it like the Garfield like format.
That's cool.
Wow.
Those ones and the Calvin and Hobbes ones. Those
I love
were
those.
the ones
Foxtrot
that I was
also had
into.
that at Far Side. The original Garfield book, do you guys remember the title?
No.
Because I remembered it, and I just looked it up to confirm. Garfield at Large.
Love it,
Oh,
incredible,
that's pretty good.
incredible. I grew up. I did a lot of the Garfield books, but I will be honest, I was more of a TV specials. That's like
Specials.
I
I
feel
don't
like
think I've ever seen one
the-
of
Me
those
neither.
specials.
Yeah. Wait. So is
Garfield's
this is,
Halloween Adventure is like a thing that I like love.
now? Was this a special that stemmed off of Garfield and Friends?
I think it was first.
It was first. Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
So here comes Garfield, first special, 1982.
Yeah.
And so basically, it is the production company that did all of the Peanuts specials.
Okay.
And so this was a time, I think, where there was fewer, like, I think it was more expensive to make cartoons. So, like, they were more events. And I think, so that company figured out how to animate Garfield. All the TV stuff kind of stemmed from that. But that's why they're like, they hold up. I feel like you've got these like, you got Schultz heads over there making like elevating Garfield to art, I think. And I think making something special.
I mean, I read in the research that there are 12 Garfield specials. I did not know that. I have not seen a single one because I felt like the original anime Garfield was the TV show with the U.S. Acres attached, that whole deal. That felt like the original, but this predates that by at least 7 years.
How many specials were there?
12.
Okay.
So look, I'm going to go through them real quick. Here comes
Well-
Garfield, 1982.
We got to marathon these.
Garfield
sometime.
on the Town, Garfield in the Rough, Garfield's Halloween Adventure. That's the one I really know the best. 1985, it makes sense. That I was like, if it's probably ran on TV after that, that's when I was like peak little boy. Garfield in Paradise. This is the one where he goes to a tropical island. Garfield Goes Hollywood. I really want to see this. I don't think I know it. Garfield Christmas, also a hit, a banger. Garfield, His 9 Lives. Garfield's Babes and Bullets,
Wow.
which I'm excited to find out is Garfield's Thanksgiving. Garfield's feline fantasies.
Did you guys see the one that came out last year? The Garfield storms the Capitol.
I think that was just a guy with like fur on his head.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
He was fat though.
And the last one is Garfield Gets a Life, which that's a 91. And honestly, I'm fascinated because that's sounds cool.
Gets a life and didn't make any more after that.
It's interesting. You can watch a few. You can watch the Halloween special on YouTube. These seem to be like just half-hour specials. Unfortunately, Garfield Goes Hollywood is not in full effect. I am seeing Nuremberg right now, and I just got a hard on, and it's just tough. It's tough not to. That's a hot cat. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's to me now that I know there is sort of a separate production company that does the cartoon versus the cartoon specials. Now I'm interested. I gotta watch, and I know that I've seen these specials on TV. I know I have probably all of them.
Yeah.
As they went on, but what is most fresh in my head is that goddamn perfect television show, Garfield and Friends.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and Friends.
We're ready to party. I hope you bring lots of spaghetti.
Same producer too, Lee Mendelsohn, and I think so. There's a crossover, but I do think that this the TV show started in it looks like '89. So this is like the specials have been out for 7 years at this point. So the TV show, which is what I mean, that's where I feel like Odie really gets his shine in the TV show.
Yeah.
And also, it's more slice of life stuff. There's less adventure. It's more just like small town living.
And there's
when
a lot
did
of
it air? When did it? I don't. I don't think
early
I watched
90s?
this nearly as much as you guys did.
There's a lot of John Arbuckle trying to fuck too. He
88
was always
to 94.
Yeah, and that's
Garfield
that's
and Friends.
And was it on
Mila
like?
being
Was it like
CBS, man?
Was it like Saturday morning
I think it was
cartoons?
Saturday
It
morning
was.
cartoon.
I remember. I'm just trying to piece together the theme song. I know that there was that one stanza where it's like, surprises, disguises, and pies of all sizes.
No, that's good.
It's very good.
then
So is
there's
Garfield mostly fat? Is that what we're figuring out?
He's fat. Yeah, he's
I
fat
think
and lazy.
Garfield's like he is everything that we like. He's our dark side. He wants to just give up and sleep and eat.
Yeah,
and I think it's like what we all secretly can't do because we have shit to do.
Right.
Garfield is that
yeah.
guy.
He's a depressed person, basically.
Yeah.
He's the persona of the depressed person who can't get out of bed, who eats too much, who isn't motivated to really live their life.
Would you say Garfield, in some universe, could be the whale?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the way he eats. We both watched The Whale.
Oh, it's one of my favorite films.
One of the great spectacles in The Whale is when he houses a couple of Three Musketeers bars in like 2 bites.
Amazing.
And Garfield does the same thing. If you remember in the TV series, he would eat a lasagna. He would just start forking whole pieces with his hands.
They're doing the gag where this like you got like the E Blanca hand just like going
Yes.
real fast. You can't see it, and you just
Oh,
shove
the other
lasagna.
favorite gag of all time is you cut a small slice of something and then you take the whole rest of it.
Sure.
Or leave the slice.
Oh,
It's a
that's so
classic
good.
gag.
There was an episode I remember he took the entire tin and just dumped it right into his gullet. He didn't care.
Doesn't care.
What I notice, are we? Can we talk a little bit just about the dynamics of Garfield? Or I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but
All right, as long as we get to cleaning the litter box at some point.
yeah, does that ever happen? Is there a litter box?
I don't think they.
He doesn't deal with.
Garfield is treated like a human roommate.
He really is.
Yeah.
Yes, because I was about to say, John Arbuckle seems like he don't like Garfield at all. Like
He loves Garfield, but he is a burden.
it does seem like Garfield is a straight up 100% burden, and that every time John goes back to the house, whatever he told Garfield not to do, boy oh boy, you better believe Garfield's doing that thing. And he's usually stop eating all of the food and don't throw away my favorite suit or something. It's like
At
whatever
some point,
ridiculous.
you got to put some of the blame on Arbuckle. You
I
know?
mean-
Yeah, well, I
stop stocking the place with lasagna.
Oh, John Arbuckle was the original beta male cuck.
He's a loser. I mean, I think that's why it works. Is that
And we do see that in the
honestly, it's
trailer.
not
We see that in the
unlike-
trailer.
It's not unlike the Marv and Danny situation where like Garfield
Marv
is
runs the house,
alpha
sure.
of the situation.
Danny is married. And
yes,
yeah,
that's fair.
I'm
You know
not
what I mean?
hopelessly
Danny
single like
has
John
I will
Arbuckle.
say Danny has a bear to like cover his tracks so that people don't know how desperate and alone he is.
And also Marv not fat.
Marv
No,
is
Marv's
is maybe the biggest cat we've agreed, but he's not fat.
He's not fat at all.
No,
No,
not
he's
at
a
all.
fit. He's actually a
fat.
little terrifying.
He's
a little
he's
ripped.
like
Looks
a
ripped.
mountain.
He's ripped. He's. Did you guys see that? This is a segue we don't have to use, but the cat on the internet. There was that shaved cat that somebody posted on their TikTok.
Yeah,
and he was
like
fucking
trying to
jacked up.
I hated it so much.
Yeah, it was just very scary. Like when
I
you
don't-
shave a cat, how many muscles they have.
Was it
Oh,
a shaved cat or was it one of the
Maybe
hairless
it was a
ones?
hypoallergenic.
I
cat.
hate
We
seeing
gotta get-
a muscly cat.
I think
didn't
we've
like
talked about if we do have a guest. There's a but. I mean, obviously we want vets and whatever. But our friend Grant Gordon, who has a whatever Sphinx cat, right?
Yeah.
Boogie, right? I believe. Shout out to Boogie, Grant.
Shout out Boogie.
Only if you give us 5 stars.
Oh yeah.
That
And
cat's got-
$8,000.
The cat's got a belly. The cat's got a belly. It's like a naked cat, and it's got rolls.
actually
It's
kinda
it's
fun.
very cute and funny. It's a great cat. But yeah, he's got jiggly naked belly rolls.
So Garfield and Friends. Can we talk a little bit about Garfield and Friends?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have information on Garfield and Friends?
Yeah. So I'm looking up Garfield and Friends.
So what was up with the Barnyard Gang or the
We did discuss this.
But I want to know, this is our Garfield episode. Now if anybody, maybe we have some very
You're
young...
talking about the other show.
Yeah, so...
U.S. Acres.
So this is U.S. Acres.
US
this is Jim
Acres.
Davis's other like comic strip turned cartoon.
So was that a full-on comic strip as well that you could
Yeah.
have seen? I never saw U.S. Acres in my
Here-
entire life.
this guy didn't have another hit. This is his hit.
Do you want? I mean, the truth is, Garfield wasn't even his first cartoon. He had a first cartoon comic strip called. I'm going to try to say this in a way to get the joke across. Norm Nat.
Oh, so it's
Norm Nat.
GNOR?
Yes, exactly.
Norm Nat.
Norm Nat, and it was
he
about
failed
insects.
to get it into. It's all about bugs and
Yeah.
insects. Failed to get it into syndication.
But it was about fit, sexy insects.
well, here's what
are there
I will
any other
say.
kind?
And so he basically got told directly that no one wants to read about bugs.
Totally makes
and
sense.
I think that I think there's a great backstory on Jim Davis was art student and a business, like he did art and business, like
Okay.
and it's like very clear. He was just like truly was like he was trying to think of a relatable animal. And he said there were too many dog things at the time. And then he said apparently he was reflecting on the fact that he grew up on a farm with 25 cats.
Wow. And he didn't think of that first.
I can't believe he was like, we'll do a bug thing.
There are a lot more bugs than cats, though,
Is
if I think
there-
about
With
it.
25 cats, I don't know how many bugs could possibly be left.
Is there
True,
is there any evidence of Norm Nat anywhere? Can you
There's a
watch?
strip. Yeah,
You,
there's strips online.
right. Is
What
there
if
any?
it's all the same jokes?
I'll try to find a Norm Nat.
You don't
while we're
need
talking.
to. I was just curious as if how close it would be to a Garfield strip.
Yeah,
Is
because
it-
I feel like at some point you're just getting the Jim Davis humor one way or the
right.
other.
So okay, we don't know about that, but what's the name of the N Friends?
U.S. Acres.
So what's up with U.S. Acres? So did that come after Garfield?
Yeah, I think they were paired together. So I think there was like sort of they were just like it was all in one little 30-minute block.
Oh,
Like,
I've seen hours and hours of U.S. Acres. I just never. I liked it, and I sometimes liked it more than the Garfield stuff.
It was better in the cartoon series just because Garfield got a little samey, and U.S. Acres could go in a lot of different directions.
Right, but like, was U.S. Acres like? Did that have any heat aside from attaching it to a Garfield thing, or like, did people were there U.S. Acres heads?
I don't think so.
Like, I remember how innovative it was when there was like, was it a duck?
Wade the duck had a floaty device because he was afraid. That was his
Great
character.
name for a duck.
And he had a little floaty with a little Wade face on it.
Right, and that face would talk or something.
Yeah,
right?
well, it would make faces.
It would make like
it would react along with Wade.
I love that.
Orson Pig.
Orson was the main character. He was kind of a leader pig, but he was put upon. He was like a Liz Lemon. We definitely, I know we talked about this. I just want to quickly get into Norm Nat that I found. So Norm Nat has a sign up. It says Norm Nat for mayor. Another Nat has come up to him and he said, "How will you curb overpopulation?" Norm Nat goes, "I will reinstate capital punishment." Then he goes, "That won't make much difference." To which Norm Nat replies, "For parking violations."
Honestly, I don't hate it.
I mean, if you see the Garfield
It also,
strips,
it's like 75. This is.
Yeah, it was the
this
first
is
time that joke was.
It would have been good if you saw.
I would have passed on it though if he came to me to syndicated and be like, okay, a couple bugs.
Why are Nats driving?
Well, they drive buggies.
There you go. This is why we have Adam on the show.
This is
every
I should
now
be
and
quiet
again.
more
you
and
need
just
it.
inject
It's
when
important.
I can.
It's
Yeah.
important.
We need to define our roles.
The descent of Garfield that I'm a little because obviously we all were fans of TV specials and cartoon or OG cartoon.
Yep.
After this run of cartoon, there were versions of Garfield that I am less aware of, and I think that it's worth sort of just there was like a CGI Garfield cartoon.
I vaguely remember channel surfing and seeing sort of a shitty CGI version of Garfield and also John Arbuckle and just being like, I don't know what this is. I'm 18.
And so that is the Garfield show. And it was I think it was sort of produced by a French network, and that's why it was bad.
Yeah.
But it ran
produced by RT Network.
It ran from 2009 to 2016.
That's pretty modern.
That is good.
That
But
was
they're
a
a French company. They're like, no Italian food allowed.
Well, there was a time when the CGI boom was happening. Everybody just wanted to CGI all their favorite properties. You had the Turtles were CGI, Sonic.
You saw what Sonic looked like 2D.
I know.
Baby, we got to see what he looks like 3D.
And we sometimes our technology gets a little ahead of its skis, and we get something we don't like because the 2D Garfield had so much more soul, was so much more, interestingly drawn.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit like what's the Treehouse of Horror when they're 3D?
It was called Homer 3D.
Right, which was a little unnerving seeing that. I mean, it was great. Everybody wanted to see it.
It's good app.
But it is used in a horror sense where it was you think you want this, but you don't.
Right.
And kind of seeing the Garfield show and seeing the 3D version, which eventually is all we get of Garfield, which they never go back. I mean, the Garfield movies aren't comics. They even do the worst thing where the trend of putting CG in there with humans, and we decided that was something we all liked for 2 or 3 years. And
we're not
nobody
really.
liked it.
We're never going back to 2D Garfield.
And I believe that's where Garfield lives, baby. I mean, it's 3 fucking panels.
Yeah.
We're gilding the lily. We're putting hats on hats here.
When you go past 3 panels, you have to think of an adventure, and that this cat, we know cats aren't made for that.
Well, now it's about him meeting his fucking dad.
Right.
And his dad's was in prison or something. I don't know what the.
We have no idea of who the mom is, or brothers and sisters, or is that where we're going after this? Is that where? I mean, maybe that's where this movie is going.
I don't know how interested my actual cat is in meeting his father, but I can't imagine it's a compelling story that could last 3 full acts.
Now the Garfield show that followed Garfield and Friends. That was the next sort of television.
It was called
show.
the Garfield Show.
And were there things even post the Garfield show that were?
There
on
was
TV?
Garfield Originals, which went for a half a year, and that was mostly in France. So I think it really has gone downhill.
Are
now,
you kind of telling us that the French have adopted Garfield?
I think they've
as
adopted
a huge
Garfield,
part of their
which
culture?
I think is kind of exciting. It makes me like the French a little more, but I don't love that they like the CG version.
They do change things. Like Odie is just a baguette.
I do. So there is part of the current Garfield oeuvre. Something that's going on is basically that I guess that Viacom owns Pause Inc., which is the production company that Jim Davis started that just owns all the Garfield stuff. And so I don't think that they technically own this movie that's coming out. I think that's a Sony thing. But they do have a Garfield series that's coming on Nickelodeon. But Here's what I'll say. If it's anything like the Rugrats that came out recently, they're going to make that disgusting in CG, and it's going to be terrifying.
So Rugrats is a CG weird thing now,
Oh,
too?
it's horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that. I don't want to because I don't want to ruin. I
It's
love
one of the
Rugrats
scariest looking things you'll ever see.
This all makes so much sense now when you talk about how many reboots, different versions, different countries' versions. That makes sense when you find out he's worth $800 million. You're like, this is worldwide.
Yeah,
it's
gone everywhere.
Decades and decades.
It's also like the most syndicated actual comic of all time.
And
It's
merchandise.
insane.
And if he has a good deal with all that stuff, he just sits back and it collects.
Peanuts, Garfield. Where are they?
Garfield without a doubt.
100%.
Is it?
Peanuts is boring as hell.
No. Not asking taste-wise. I'm like, what is more popular and made more money? It's Peanuts, right?
I think
I think it's
Garfield's
Garfield.
movies have been more
Wow.
successful than the Peanuts movies.
Well, there's only one Peanuts movie.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
and Peanuts just has the special. I don't really know, and
Right.
there's some Snoopy stuff, and but I think Garfield's like an international phenomenon.
Actually, a fun fast fact, we'll call it. Garfield's name in Sweden is Gustav.
I think I love.
Wow.
And on Fox News, it's Gutfeld.
Sorry, I took a second.
You were thinking
hey,
about whether
Adam, I love when you're just peppering in shit.
Hey, thanks, man. You can edit all the rest of it out. If I got 2 or 3 keepers on the pod, that's all I'm happy with that.
I
I'm
like
kind of fascinated reading about. There's been a variety of Garfield video games,
I think I'm like remembering.
and if
one.
you have played any of them, please write in. I'm very curious, and one of them is called Garfield Big Fat Hairy Deal, and I think that's fun. It's an old Atari game. Garfield's Nightmare for the DS.
This is a theme in Garfield because I was looking up all of the compilations because, there's the Garfield at large. Everything about Garfield is zeroed in on making fun of his weight and how fat he is. I mean,
which doesn't hold up
It's-
with
you're-
anything
I mean,
culturally here.
That's why they're trying to
Garfield
erase
Fat Cat
history.
3-pack. That's
Yeah. Oh, here are all the books. Because you were listing some game stuff, so I mean,
No, I love
we're just throwing stuff out here. The books are Garfield at Large, Garfield Weighs In, Garfield Gains Weight,
that one doesn't even really make sense.
Garfield Loses His Feet, and Garfield Eats His Heart Out.
Oh my God.
Okay, there's
Garfield can suck his tit.
I want to also say,
Garfield.
I'm on the Penguin site, and I'm not even all the way down, and I'm on book 71. That's how many books there are.
That one's
of
like Garfield's belly button smells bad.
Yeah.
Garfield living the sweet life.
Garfield can't see his own penis.
This one's
Garfield has to pay for sex.
Garfield has a CPAP machine.
great.
Garfield gets stomach stapling, so gastro surgery.
Oh, I do think the final Garfield is
Just
he gets like
Ozempic.
he gets Ozempic.
It's not even Garfield.
Garzimpic.
It's not even Garfield : anything. It's just : Ozempic. But Ozempic is like in big fat orange.
Meow,
letters.
meow, meow, Ozempic. I just acted that out pretty good.
really pulled that
So
out.
there's hundreds of these books. Are we saying?
Oh my God! I believe there's 72 books. This is just from that Penguin has in their titles.
Garfield's not a comic strip any longer, right? It's not being.
It is
What?
a comic strip.
Jim Davis is alive and well, folks.
Jim Davis is still kicking.
Wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning and
It's funny
makes
you
a
say
coffee
that.
and does what is it? Was
Because I read a thing about his work schedule, and apparently he writes for 1 week a month. He just
Okay.
fully writes.
That's about all it
But
should
he
take.
goes to Paws Inc., which now I think it's Funny Inc. because Paws Inc. is owned by Viacom, so now he's got his own little brand.
and Funny Ink wasn't taken.
I can't believe it. I don't know if it was. I mostly saw the Funny Inc. because I tried to find if there was a way that we can write fan mail to him. And someone just straight up posted his address, which I thought was a little weird. And so we'll put that in the show
I'm
notes.
sure it's a compound. It's a compound surrounded by security and whatever else.
Should we send
It's in like
one?
Muncie, Indiana. I don't really know.
Should we send 800,000 lasagnas to Jim Davis?
Well, I think we should beg him to be, despite our horrific name, beg him to be on the show.
We might as well. We might
Absolutely.
as well
Might as
shoot our
well.
shot, you know?
I think that no one's going to appreciate this man the way we can appreciate
We
him.
should send him the invite inside a lasagna.
What I had been spending a little bit of time on, and I think it's because of this podcast, it was just recommended to me, but the Garfield subreddit is really strange.
You know how to get into the depths of the internet.
I stumbled upon it looking at trying to find their reaction.
And did you catch a reaction?
I didn't, but I found general Reddit vibes, and everyone is just horrified by the voice.
I mean, honestly, that Reddit is interesting to me because it's like you'd think it would just be like maybe a lot of Garfield memes or like maybe an ironic Reddit in a way.
Nope.
No, these are like what seem to be pretty young people who are like just really obsessed with Garfield, and they share a lot of their art. And,
I think it's entered into like a Hello Kitty territory where it's just like a group of people have just latched onto this as their identity, which I love. I think it's cool.
Are they French?
That's a great question.
I would hope so. Now I was looking for it, but I can't find it. But I sent you guys a little screenshot of just one of the posts. The post was, kids in my class told me Jim Davis died today, and I went to the bathroom and cried.
Reddit is just like the place where the internet goes to be way too serious.
And then the first comment was, they're only mean to you because you react. And then the ops response was, I didn't react. I waited a minute. I got up and went to the bathroom and cried.
And who was mean to her?
We don't know.
I'm assuming her.
We don't know.
we don't know that either.
How would you react if you found out today that Jim Davis was dead?
Wow. No, wait till we find out if he'll be on the show. Wait till we find out if he is going to show up. Jim Davis,
I'd say
unless you're too scared, 78-year-old man, we love you. You had some great facts about Jim Davis. Garfield's named after his grandfather.
Yeah.
Jim Davis went to Ball State, and he was classmates with David Letterman.
Damn right.
Wow.
How crazy is that? To me, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are two heavy hitters.
Two heavy hitters. And
I mean, if David Letterman went to college with Garfield, that would be better.
Yeah,
right.
But is there something in the sauce of like Indiana that makes like something like Midwest funny? I think
it's either you're a great man capable of making billions of dollars and an entire industry,
or you're Larry Bird,
or for the most part, you're a fat piece of garbage who hates abortion,
or a high-ranking member in the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, there's just those three.
Either way, industrious, I would say.
That's right. Does Garfield ever take on the Klan in any of his strips? Probably. I would imagine.
I thought he was pro-Klan.
I can't imagine.
I feel like Garfield is not going to make a political stance. There's
I do think
too
that's
much money to lose.
The general idea is that this dude is extremely smart, and he is not political at all.
So what? I'm sorry. You said he went. What he studied business and what in college?
And
art.
art.
So have you ever heard anyone who has a degree? I mean, 2 degrees that combine so perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, just business. I mean, most
what
popular.
I'm struck by is like him having business and art, like being and like you do NormNat, and it obviously tanks because that's a shitty idea. With all due respect, I'm sure you're watching this or listening.
Norm.
Yeah, both Norm and Jim. And you have like this industrious like business sort of mindset, and you can pivot, and like be able to like be like, I need to think of an animal that people will like.
Yeah,
it's so funny. I think it's so smart, man.
I love how you have to go to school to realize that. 4 years of college just to be like,
people
instead
hate
of
bugs.
Instead of a shitty bug, what about a fat little cat?
Not to toot our horns.
Here's $800 million.
Yeah, we didn't even start a podcast about bugs at all before coming.
I did one about poop.
That's true.
Yes,
yeah.
I will say that we have all done worse ideas before we came to this.
We've all had our NormNat.
This is our Garfield moment.
And that's it. We came together and we're like, what do the people want to hear? 4 middle-aged white men talk about cats.
I really hope I'm not middle-aged. I just really...
Oh, you 100% are.
This
Nick.
is how you do it. You double your age
You
and you go...
100% are.
Yeah, don't try to get out of it.
You just double your age and you go, is that a normal time to die?
You also, you might even be a little past that depending how long you think you're going to live.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm going to live till 80. Hey.
I mean, Nick also loves lasagna.
That's right. Well, I feel bad.
Read a Garfield
The only
book.
thing that could actually, bring me back up is maybe a nice little Garfield comic. But we are. This podcast is a rolling, but we are getting there. So, do we have segments that we want to pop out of here?
I do. Do you guys want? Do you care if
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, let me. No, I like yours. Let's go.
It's just mine's
It's
a
really
quickie.
excited.
It's just a quick game. We'll just knock it out.
What's it called?
It's called Garfield or Garfield. Thank you. This is just a quick little test for you guys, just to ask which of these famous quotes was said by Garfield the cat and which was said by the 20th President of the United States, James A. Garfield. So we'll start.
I like it.
We'll start with this one. I'm not overweight. I'm under tall.
This has to be the cat.
It's gotta be the cat, Garfield.
Presidents are mostly tall.
I'm going with Garfield. The
Both
man.
fat though. Both very fat. I'm gonna go Garfield the cat.
I'm going with the cat.
I'm going with the man.
It's the cat.
Wow.
The cat. All right, here's one. Diet is die, but with a T.
Gotta be the cat.
I gotta go with the man.
I'm gonna go with the cat.
It's the cat.
Yeah. Anything kind of funny has got to be the cat.
Why
All right,
would a
here we go.
president go up there and shit up? Well, I mean, I don't know. Never mind. The times have changed.
He who controls the money supply of a nation controls the nation.
I feel like this could go either way.
That's literally from Garfield. He who controls.
The
I
money
can't even
supply.
I can't even remember.
If
the
it
rest.
was he who controls the lasagna, I'd go with the cat. But are we? I feel bad.
I'm gonna stick with cat.
I'm going with the president. But I feel bad that I'm playing the game seriously.
Well, the last one's going to be a real barn burner, I think. That was the president. I'll just, I'll admit it. It was the president. I threw you a curveball there.
And you can lie. I mean, there's no
It's
real
true.
rules here.
All right, so this is the last one. The truth shall set you free, but first it'll make you miserable.
That's got to be Garfield the Prez.
I could go either way on this, but I'm going to go with the cat.
I'm gonna go with the cat.
It's the fucking president.
Yeah.
It was President James A. Garfield said that.
We love
right.
Well, do you know what he was talking about?
I don't know, fucking Lend-Lease Act. Who cares?
Wow, real deep cut with the Lend-Lease Act.
I just laughed politely. I've never even heard of it.
No idea.
I don't have
Hey,
to
say it
tell
again,
you.
Dad.
Lend-Lease Act?
The Glenn Close Act? I don't know.
I'd like to take a moment. This is just like a wrap up, kind of where we started about how terrible of a job Chris Pratt is doing with the voice, and I want to talk about Dream Garfield casting.
All right.
And I basically, you could take a moment. I want to say I'll start with something I read on Reddit, which is someone in the Garfield thread responding to the trailer, and they said, what is it too late for us to put in H. John Benjamin?
Oh, that's
Sure.
a really good suggestion.
He's our modern day Lorenzo music.
I honestly think it's like distinctive, slovenly man, like old, like lazy guy voice, and it works. It works.
It works. I will say though, he does so many voices.
He's too many voices.
and a lot of those voices are kind of popular now.
I
Bob
kind of agree.
Archer,
Huge, yeah.
But I
Bob,
like the idea.
It's a great idea.
And
He is a classic voice man at this point. You hear it. He's got a great voice. It adds to the characters that he's doing. I do think like his voice might be more noticeable than Chris
a good
Pratt.
point.
Like where you'd be like,
Certainly.
oh, that's just John Benjamin talking to me. When the Chris Pratt voice, it's almost the absolute opposite. I listened to it for a few seconds before I was like, oh yeah, this is Chris.
It's
Pratt.
also to me a little too New Yorky, I think, because I do think part of the charm of there's like not a. It feels like a regional voice. to me, a
H.
little
John
bit.
is, I believe, Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's
So
it
there
feels
you
East
go.
Coasty.
Yeah.
My other last pitch, and I think there'll probably be a little pushback because the guy who plays Stanley from The Office. What do we think?
Yeah.
Oh, I could see
Okay.
that. I could totally see that.
Yeah, I guess because he's got like at least that character has
There's
got
just-
the
I feel like
demeanor.
it
He can
just has
deliver
to
a
be
funny
a-
line really well. Yeah.
It's a little too slow. Like these a little too slow, and there's not enough sauce on the jokes for me. But that's sort of where I'm leaning.
I think I got one. I think I got one. If we're going for what is it like aloof, kind of over it, and I'm gonna go a little controversial because we're gonna go female voice. What if we did like Aubrey Plaza?
I don't like that.
You don't
I
like
don't
that?
like it.
All
But
right.
I appreciate the tip, and I think it's
Do you have a fuck you button or some shit there?
Yeah.
I don't hate it. She's just got a little too much of like a mean girl thing.
I'll say this: she's
But I
actually,
like it.
the point of Nermal is to make you horny, and I feel like
I
she'd
think
be
she's
perfect.
an incredible Nermal,
Yeah.
and for so many reasons. God, I had somebody in mind just now. Stephen Wright is a little too old.
Is he alive?
now.
Yeah,
he's still
he's
alive,
alive.
but I think like that's sort of the vibe I want. I just want like a real like fried guy.
Yeah,
who's
just a marble mouth loser.
just sort of mumbling to himself. I want that.
Yeah, you kind of just need like a first of all, the voice has to be kind of a deep voice. And it has to you have to be able to pull off bored.
Right.
Like in an entertaining way.
Gotta be over it.
Most people, when they're over it, you're like, I would want to hear you speak for one more second. But the Garfield voice, man, that's an over it you just want to hear all day long. It's just funny. It's a funny over it.
So here's a Hail Mary play. Brendan Fraser, the whale himself.
Oh, but he's got to be the weight of the whale.
He's got to get that fat in real life.
Now, I just feel like Garfield crying while eating a pizza is just maybe not going to work.
It does take a turn.
That sounds like the most Garfield thing I could imagine.
Garfield doesn't cry though. He's not like sad that he's eating and eating because he's sad. Like it's not a fat bastard sort of.
He only cried a couple of times in the movie. The first act of the movie
was 80 minutes long.
The first act of the movie, he was happily eating the fried chicken.
And he's also like an adjunct professor on
He's
Zoom.
like, yeah, he's on a Zoom. His camera's always broken. It's a great movie. Go ahead and check it out. If you want to see a guy just housing foods that you can only eat in your fantasies anymore, that is Brendan Fraser in The Whale.
The whale for Danny was like, what's that Stanley Tucci movie, Big Night Out?
It was like Big Night. I wanted him to make a timpano out of all the foods he ate in the movie. The pizza, the fried chicken, the fucking Three Musketeers, the ham.
Were you just eating while you were watching this movie?
It's kind of like food porn.
Yeah.
It really is.
Have you guys seen this movie?
No.
It's the most disgusting, gross fucking movie
it's really
you'll ever
fun.
see.
I just picture the scene in Groundhog's Day where he's eating everything for 90 minutes, and at the end, maybe we learn a lesson.
You don't.
You don't learn any lesson. Actually, I just remembered the end. It is insane.
Yeah.
I gotta rewatch The Whale.
I haven't seen it yet.
Watch The Whale, but
Yeah,
watch it
don't-
tonight. Yeah, don't watch it before you eat, though. It's
Yeah, watch The Whale and then watch the new Garfield movie. Do a double feature. You
That's
will
the new
not
Barbie
be
Oppenheimer?
Yeah,
a double eater.
Yeah, it's
That's something that Garfield fucking franchise would use.
That's right.
Double
instead,
eater's a great idea.
what's the subtitle for this movie?
Whalefield. Sorry, what are we doing?
Well,
Is there a Garfield subtitle?
No, it's just Garfield or whatever.
And
It's
no, we need to think of a joke for a subtitle that works in Father. And I think
yeah, right.
Oh, we need to come up with a new
we need
subtitle.
to come up with
would be
subtitles.
a great way
Fat
to
is
wind
in
down.
Father.
What's up?
The word fat is in Father.
word
I
fat
know
is
that.
in
That's
Father.
the place. That's a jumping off point.
Cat in the Cradle.
That's all right.
And a giant spoon. There's a daddy. I mean, we could figure this out.
Belly Papa, belly pop.
Popcorn.
Daddy Fatty. Oh,
Fatty Daddy, yeah.
Fatty Daddy. He is fat. The dad's fat.
The dad's
Yeah.
fat.
The
The
dad's
dad's
He's
fat.
large.
He's
I think we maybe Samuel L.
Oh,
Jackson.
fatty issues.
Fatty
Boom.
issues.
Fatty issues.
We're
There
done
it
here.
is.
God,
Yeah.
this is all I'm
Good
good
night.
at.
The dog's barking.
All right, I do think I have a couple actors that I just want to throw out, and you guys tell me if they would make. I did some thinking while you guys were talking.
Are
I
these
was like,
Garfields or Johns?
These are potential Garfields.
Okay.
What do you guys think about Seth Rogen?
Out.
I think
Wow,
he
that
could
was
pull
quick,
it off.
Dan.
I think
out.
he could pull it off.
Too giggly, maybe.
It's too high pitched. He's not.
Too high
He's
pitched.
not sad.
He's got a grumble.
Yeah, he's got a.
But it's like not. What about Martin Starr?
not famous enough.
Not famous enough, but similar good energy.
I don't think we should be aiming for crazy famous. So
What about Vin Diesel?
Yes.
that's an
No, I don't
interesting
like
choice.
Vin Diesel.
Deep voice.
Deep voice.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about Vince Vaughn?
Nah, It's just,
He's out. All right.
his voice
Too
doesn't-
I kind of like the
Republican-y.
idea, though.
I mean, there's something
I like
there.
the idea.
I
but
think
it's
if
fun.
Vince, I think if Garfield was a human being, he might actually look like Vince.
John Favreau directs. Yeah.
How
Throw
about
in Vince Vaughn.
Rob Schneider doing his accent that we don't know where it comes from?
Cajun Man? Or whatever he did.
You can do it.
Yeah, there it is.
That sounds like Norm Nat.
Really? No, I can see that.
I'm just looking up.
Did you see
fat
the rest of the
actors.
cast though? It's like you got what's her name from Ted Lasso, Waddingham. What's her
Sure,
name? She's in
Dame
it.
Judi Dench, Laurence Olivier's Ghost. I mean, why are people with any kind of credibility doing a movie like this?
Who is John Arbuckle in the new movie?
That's a great question.
don't
I
know.
actually think it's Nicholas Hoult or whatever that guy's.
Who gives a
okay.
shit? That's the thing. Is John Arbuckle is such a nothing zero character that you really don't even think about casting him. It could be anyone.
In the cartoon in Garfield and Friends, it's Jim Davis's frat buddy from college.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
He just
Really?
cast, he just cast a
That's
friend.
how little it matters who John Arbuckle is.
Who was it in the comic strip?
It was you in your head. Depends. Well, I guess for you, it was your dad who read it to you.
Well, John was an avatar of Jim Davis himself.
Of course. When we saw it from the very first comic strip.
Yeah. So he must be a pretty boring guy.
Listen, we've learned a lot about Garfield. We really have. But that's not the end of this podcast. We still have to do the things we do. Okay? And the way we end this podcast every single week is with one of two closing segments. Dan, which of those segments are we doing today?
Today we will be doing a public enemy number 1.
Okay, public enemy number 1. Now, this is where we find somebody who is an enemy to all cats, and we shout them out in a negative way.
So this week I found this.
There's got to be a better phrase than shout them out in a negative way. We
Well, that's-
publicly shame them.
Publicly,
We lift them up for all to see in a negative way.
No, this is a shout out in a negative way to my friends back home.
We want to give massive props to this guy we hate.
We want to get this guy cat-sold.
Yeah.
So this guy did get cat-sold, actually. His name is Trevor Nelson. He is the owner of a viral cat named Sigrid. And he got in trouble and was investigated by the SPCA, as well as, he claims, getting death threats from the public because he posted a video, like he does a lot, of his cat sitting in the basket of his bike. And in one of the videos, he gets into an accident and the cat tumbles out of the basket. And now the public hates this man for having ever put his cat in that position.
Now, I couldn't bear to watch the video. I couldn't.
His cat was fine, by the way. He got more hurt than the cat.
Did you see the video?
I did.
Did you? I watched the video.
All right, tell us.
I gotta tell you, Nick, you can watch the video. I watched this video like all ready to hate this guy because I fucking love cats and I don't want anything bad to happen to a cat and I don't want anyone to put a cat in any more danger than they need to be. First of all, this cat seemed to like riding in the basket. I got no problem with someone riding around the basket. And then a moped hit this guy. The bike went down. The cat was on a little leash, but it was long enough that it didn't. He
didn't get choked or pulled or anything.
The cat seemed a little scared. He went back in. He got up.
All right, guys, I'm going to
It just
narrate.
nothing-
It says, warning, this video contains, warning, this video contains scenes that viewers may find disturbing. So, okay, you got the cat.
I don't either. Yeah.
You know, it's a little rough, but I will say, this not this guy's fault.
Yeah.
There's so many
No.
people who are posting videos online where you are like, oh, you are putting your cat or your kid in danger for content.
Even just scaring
that's
your
not-
cat on purpose and stuff.
This guy
seems
clearly cares about
worse
his
than
cat.
this.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
I think that's why I really zeroed in on this as a public enemy, because he became literally a public enemy. But I think that there's a debate to be had about whether or not the internet goes a little too far with some of its crusades. This man is being told he needs to die.
And I think we, instead of claws out, I think maybe, you guys think claws out or claws in? We think we should claws in for this guy.
Yeah, my claws are in for this guy.
I don't like him. I don't
Claws
like this
out!
guy.
Did
I
you
don't
see
like
the
this
video?
guy. I watched it 3 or 4 times. Zach keeps running him back. He's got
What's
a grin
your
on his
problem
face.
with it? What do you
I
think he
don't-
did wrong? Was it wrong to
I think if
ride
you're,
around with a
I
cat?
don't think you drive or ride around with your cat like in places where like cars are also like riding next to you.
This
Okay.
is clearly European. I mean, this guy's...
Oh well, then
Is-
That's a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
European thing, I'm sure. People have cats in all kinds of weird situations.
In
There
their
are people who
pants.
have the cat in their in that little backpack with the viewer window.
Yeah.
There's people who just carry their cats on their fucking shoulders. I mean, those are weirdos, but there are people whose cats like to travel with them.
No, but this
and
is on
cooperate
a
with
bike
them.
next to cars that are crazy driving. And you're not, this cat isn't enclosed.
And you
or-
don't think you're being an overprotective cat father.
I tell you, I would never do that with my cat.
Nick, you drove your cat across the entire country.
That's true.
I know,
You
but not.
sick
I didn't
fuck.
put her in a basket
Disgusting.
on the roof.
No, you tied her to the trunk.
No, she was in the car. I mean, we're all goofing around right now. We're all trying our best to get a good laugh at the end of this podcast. We're failing. But I will say that we had our cat in the car like you're supposed to. If you ask any other cat person, we didn't.
He has a bike. This guy doesn't have a car. He
Yeah.
has a bike.
I
He's doing his
listen,
best
you
for
want
the
to pull
world.
that friggin' ET shit? Then go get yourself a friggin' alien. Don't do it
That's
with one
a-
of
I
our
can't- that is a
pussy
good point.
boys.
All right.
It's a, but what do you put in a you put a cat in a basket?
All right, so Trevor
Yeah,
Nelson, it's been decided you need to die.
Oh my god.
No,
Kill yourself.
I think we get 3 claws in, 1 claws out. So I think Trevor Nelson, you're a-okay with 3 out of 4.
Just send
Pussy
us $800.
$8,000.
Whatever.
boys. Come on the show.
We should set one $8 million tier when we launch the Patreon, just in case.
Just in case Jim
Patreon.
Davis wants to
Jim
toss
You
Davis
get,
is
to,
a
you get
fan.
to, and for the $8
I
million
actually think
tier,
that's a really funny. If it's like a multi-$1,000 tier and it's like you're Jim Davis.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is only for Jim Davis.
And you can be
Do
a
not-
guest as often as you
drop
want.
in?
You can honestly just have the podcast.
Yeah, we'll stop the podcast.
it
I'll
should, be
stop
an,
it.
should it be an $800,000 tier for Jim Davis to give us one his,
You
his,
pay it
all
one
his
time.
money?
You get the rights to the podcast.
And then we'll probably launch this down the line, so we'll have like I don't know, like a
Stickers.
$8,000 tier where like we'll dig up Jim Davis for
He's
you.
still alive.
He's alive. But we'll dig him up figuratively.
No, I
But-
mean like in the future.
As if he's buried alive. I understand.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll cross that grave when we come to it.
that's right. I'm glad we got to there. I'm glad we got all the way to Jim Davis's gravestone. We should Pet Cemetery his ass. I mean,
Oh, then we'll
'Cause-
always have Jim
Now
Davis.
that's a crossover movie.
how
I
about
would love
is there
to
a
see.
Garfield Pet Cemetery?
There should be.
I do think that maybe Garfield's not doing that level of dark comedy, but I would love it.
We got to do it. We have to get in there, man. We have to start writing these things.
Can't recommend the specials enough, as we say.
Now the you can check out right now on YouTube. You can find that Halloween special. I think I'm gonna watch that tonight.
It's awesome.
24 minutes, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
they're just treats.
Folks, that has been the podcast. Thank you so much for coming here to listen to us talk about cats. Hey, if you have a cat, why don't you rate us 5 stars and give us a review on the Apple Podcast app, and we will shout your cat out. Just name your cat. We'll shout it out on this podcast.
Even if they have a really effed up name,
Yeah.
we have to say it.
like normal.
Or Frank.
Or Frank. And do all that. Make sure that you're following us at PuzzyBoyzPod on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe. And
On all Z's.
all Z's. It's
my
always all
God.
Z's, folks. And as always, meow.
Meow.
Right. Yeah.